Captain Zara Novak's mission was simple: explore, document, and report back to Earth on any findings of interest. Little did she know that this routine expedition would change the course of human history. Zara's fingers danced across the holographic controls, adjusting the ship's trajectory to avoid a dense asteroid field. Her dark hair was tied back in a neat ponytail, and her green eyes sparkled with excitement at the prospect of new discoveries. She had always dreamed of being the first to encounter alien life, but after years of fruitless searching, even her optimism had begun to wane. As the Curiosity emerged from the asteroid field, a proximity alarm blared through the cockpit. Zara's heart raced as she scanned the readouts. Something massive was approaching, and fast. "Computer, full sensor sweep," she commanded, her voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. The ship's AI responded immediately, projecting a detailed hologram of the approaching object. Zara's jaw dropped. It was unmistakably a spacecraft, but unlike anything humans had ever constructed. Its sleek, organic shape reminded her of a manta ray with graceful curves and an iridescent surface that seemed to shift colors as it moved. "Alien vessel detected," the computer announced unnecessarily. "Unknown configuration, no match in database." Zara took a deep breath, steadying herself. This was it, the moment she had been waiting for her entire life. "Open a channel on all frequencies," she ordered, "and initiate first contact protocols." As she waited for a response, Zara couldn't help but marvel at the alien ship's beauty. It was easily 10 times the size of her own vessel, yet it moved with an elegance that defied its mass. Suddenly, a bright beam of light engulfed the Curiosity, and Zara felt a strange tingling sensation throughout her body. Before she could react, the cockpit around her dissolved, and she found herself standing in a vast, circular chamber. The walls pulsed with soft, bioluminescent light, and the air was filled with a sweet, unfamiliar scent. Zara's scientific mind raced to catalogue every detail, even as her instincts screamed that she should be terrified. A low humming filled the air, and 3 figures glided into view. Zara's breath caught in her throat as she took in their appearance. They were tall, easily 7 feet in height, with slender, graceful bodies covered in what looked like iridescent scales. Their heads were elongated and smooth, with large, multifaceted eyes that shimmered with intelligence. They had no visible mouth, but Zara could sense their curiosity as they regarded her. One of the aliens stepped forward, raising a long 6-fingered hand in what Zara hoped was a gesture of peace. To her amazement, a melodic voice echoed in her mind. "Greetings, strange one. We are the Lyrani. We welcome you to the Harmony." Zara's scientific training kicked in, overriding her shock. She mimicked the alien's gesture and spoke clearly, hoping her words would somehow be understood. "I am Captain Zara Novak of Earth. I come in peace and in the spirit of discovery." The lead Lyrani tilted its head, and Zara felt a gentle probing sensation in her mind. She instinctively recoiled, but then forced herself to relax. If they had wanted to harm her, they could have done so already. "Your thoughts are chaotic," the alien's voice resonated in her head. "But we sense no malice. You are a curious species, these humans." Zara nodded, a smile spreading across her face despite her nerves. "Yes, curiosity is one of our defining traits. We seek to understand the universe and our place in it." The Lyrani seemed to confer among themselves, their large eyes blinking in complex patterns. Finally, the leader turned back to Zara. "We share this desire for knowledge. Perhaps we can learn from each other." Over the next few hours, Zara found herself engaged in the most extraordinary exchange of information she could have imagined. The Lyrani, she learned, were a peaceful, highly advanced species that had been exploring the galaxy for millennia. They communicated primarily through a form of telepathy, which explained the voice Zara heard in her mind. As they shared knowledge about their respective cultures and technologies, Zara couldn't help but feel a sense of awe at how far humanity still had to go. The Lyrani had mastered faster-than-light travel, terraforming, and even limited manipulation of spacetime itself. Yet, they seemed equally fascinated by human achievements and the unique way humans approached problem-solving. "Your species is young," one of the Lirani observed, "but your potential is great. We sense a resilience in you that is rare among the races we have encountered." Zara beamed with pride at the compliment. "Humans have faced many challenges throughout our history, but we've always found a way to overcome them. It's in our nature to persist, to adapt, and to strive for better." As their conversation continued, Zara began to relax, her initial fear giving way to genuine excitement and curiosity. She demonstrated some basic human technologies she had brought with her, including a tablet computer and a small, handheld 3D printer. The Lirani were particularly intrigued by the printer, watching in fascination as Zara created a small model of the solar system. "Your ability to manipulate physical matter in this way is impressive," the lead Lirani commented. "We have long since moved beyond such methods. We can see the potential for innovation in your approach." In turn, the Lirani showed Zara some of their own technology. She watched in amazement as one of them created a detailed holographic representation of their home solar system, manipulating it with graceful gestures. The level of detail was astounding, down to the weather patterns on distant planets. As their exchange drew to a close, Zara felt a mixture of elation and sadness. She had learned more in these few hours than she had in years of space exploration, but she knew that soon she would have to return to her ship and report her findings to Earth. The lead Lirani seemed to sense her thoughts. "Do not be disheartened, Zara Novak. This is only the beginning. We would like to propose an ongoing exchange between our peoples. There is much we can learn from each other." Zara's heart soared at the prospect. "I would be honored to help facilitate that exchange. But I must warn you, not all humans may react as peacefully as I have. Our history has made us cautious of the unknown." The Lirani nodded, a gesture they had picked up from observing Zara. "We understand. Change and acceptance take time. We will proceed with caution, but also with hope. Your species has great potential, and we look forward to seeing how you will grow." With a final exchange of knowledge and farewells, Zara found herself back in the cockpit of the Curiosity. As she watched the Lirani ship gracefully glide away, she knew that everything had changed. Humanity was no longer alone in the universe, and the possibilities for the future were endless. As she set a course back to Earth, Zara couldn't help but smile. She had achieved her lifelong dream of first contact, but more importantly, she had taken the first step towards a new era of interstellar cooperation. The journey ahead would be challenging, but as she had told the Lirani, humans were nothing if not resilient. With a deep breath, Zara opened a channel to Earth. "Mission Control, this is Captain Novak. You're not going to believe what I have to report." As Zara's report of first contact reached Earth, the news spread like wildfire. Governments, scientists, and civilians alike were abuzz with excitement and apprehension. The prospect of peaceful alien contact was thrilling, but it also raised countless questions and concerns. In the weeks that followed, a small team of human representatives was hastily assembled to meet with the Lirani for further cultural exchange. Dr. Alex Chen, a brilliant xenobiologist, found himself at the center of this historic mission. His expertise in alien life forms made him the perfect candidate to lead the scientific aspect of the exchange. As their ship, the Unity, approached the designated meeting point in deep space, Alex couldn't help but feel a mix of excitement and nervousness. He had spent his entire career theorizing about alien life, but nothing could have prepared him for the reality of face-to-face contact. The Unity docked with the Lirani vessel, a process that went smoothly thanks to the technical specifications shared during the initial encounter. As the airlock cycled open, Alex took a deep breath, straightening his uniform. He led the small team of 5 humans into the alien ship, marveling at the organic architecture and pulsating lights. The Lirani greeted them with the same peaceful gestures they had shown Zara. Alex felt the now familiar sensation of their telepathic communication. "Welcome, humans. We are honored to continue our exchange of knowledge. Alex nodded, speaking clearly. The honor is ours. We're eager to learn more about your species and share information about our own. What followed was a series of fascinating, and often humorous, misunderstandings as the two species attempted to bridge the gap between their vastly different biologies and cultures. The first major confusion arose when the Lyreni offered the humans refreshments. What appeared to be a shimmering, gelatinous cue was presented to each team member. Alex, ever the scientist, was the first to take a tentative bite. To his surprise, the cue dissolved in his mouth, releasing a burst of flavors and sensations he couldn't begin to describe. "It's incredible," he managed to say, his taste buds overwhelmed. "What is it?" The Lyreni tilted their heads in confusion. "It is sustenance," came the reply in their minds. "Do humans not consume nutrients in this manner?" Alex chuckled, realizing the aliens had no concept of solid food as humans knew it. He began to explain the intricacies of human digestion, much to the fascination and slight horror of the Lyreni. "You physically break down matter with bony protrusions in your eating orifice?" one Lyreni asked, their mental voice tinged with disbelief. "And then acids dissolve it within you? How incredibly inefficient." Alex couldn't help but laugh. "I suppose it might seem that way to you, but it's served us well for millions of years." The misunderstandings continued as the humans attempted to explain various aspects of their physiology. The concept of sleep particularly baffled the Lyreni, who had no need for regular periods of unconsciousness. "You willingly become vulnerable and unaware for hours each day?" a Lyreni scientist inquired, multifaceted eyes blinking rapidly. "How do you defend yourselves? How do you maintain productivity?" Dr. Emily Wong, the team's neurologist, stepped in to explain. "Sleep is crucial for our mental and physical health. It's when our bodies repair themselves and our minds process information. We've adapted to minimize vulnerability during sleep, but yes, it's a necessary part of our lives." The Lyreni seemed to ponder this for a moment before responding. "Fascinating. Your species continues to surprise us with its resilience despite such seemingly inefficient biological processes." But perhaps the most awkward misunderstanding came when the topic turned to human reproduction. The Lyreni, being a genderless species that reproduced through a complex form of cellular division, were utterly perplexed by the concept of sexual dimorphism and intercourse. Alex found himself stumbling over his words as he tried to explain the basics of human sexuality in scientific terms. The Lyreni's confusion only grew with each attempt at clarification. "So, your species has two distinct physical forms, and they must physically join to create offspring?" a Lyreni biologist asked, their mental voice filled with a mix of curiosity and bewilderment. "Well, yes, but it's more complicated than that," Alex replied, feeling his face grow warm. "There's also emotional and social aspects to our reproduction that go beyond just the physical act." The Lyreni conferred among themselves, their iridescent scales shimmering as they communicated silently. Finally, one turned back to Alex. "We wish to observe this process for scientific purposes. Would you be willing to demonstrate?" The human team exchanged mortified glances. Alex cleared his throat, trying to maintain his professional composure. "I'm afraid that won't be possible. Human mating is a private affair, not something we typically do for demonstration purposes." The Lyreni seemed even more confused by this. "Private? But it is a natural biological function, is it not? Why would it need to be hidden?" Dr. Sarah Patel, the team's anthropologist, stepped in to help. In human culture, reproduction and sexuality are complex topics with many social and emotional implications. They're not just biological functions but deeply personal experiences. The Lyreni absorbed this information, their large eyes blinking in patterns that the humans had come to recognize as deep thought. "Your species continues to fascinate us. These concepts of privacy and personal experience are foreign to us, but we sense they are important to you. We will respect your customs." As the exchange continued, both species found themselves constantly surprised and intrigued by their differences. The humans marveled at the Lyrani's ability to manipulate their own cellular structure, allowing them to adapt to different environments with ease. In turn, the Lyrani were amazed by the human capacity for emotional expression and creativity. One particularly touching moment came when Dr. Wong introduced the Lyrani to human music. She played a recording of a classical symphony, watching in wonder as the alien scales rippled in response to the sound waves. "This is beautiful," the Lyrani communicated, their mental voice filled with awe. "We have never experienced anything like it. How do you create such complex patterns of sound?" Dr. Wong smiled, launching into an explanation of human musical theory and the various instruments used in the symphony. The Lyrani listened intently, their fascination growing with each new piece of information. As the initial exchange drew to a close, both humans and Lyrani felt they had only scratched the surface of understanding each other. The misunderstandings and moments of confusion had led to laughter, embarrassment, and ultimately, a deeper appreciation for the incredible diversity of life in the universe. Alex addressed the Lyrani, his voice filled with gratitude and excitement. "Thank you for your patience and willingness to share with us. We've learned so much, but I feel like we've only just begun to understand each other." The lead Lyrani nodded, a gesture they had adopted from their human visitors. "We share your sentiment, Dr. Chen. Your species is unlike any we have encountered before. Your biological inefficiencies are offset by your remarkable adaptability and creative thinking. We look forward to continuing our exchange of knowledge." As the human team prepared to return to their ship, Alex couldn't help but feel a sense of optimism for the future. Despite the countless misunderstandings and cultural differences, they had found common ground in their shared thirst for knowledge and understanding. The Unity disengaged from the Lyrani vessel, and as they watched the alien ship shimmer and disappear into the depths of space, Alex knew that this was just the beginning. Humanity had taken its first steps into a larger universe, one filled with wonders beyond their wildest imaginations. As they set a course back to Earth, Alex began composing his report, a smile playing on his lips. He couldn't wait to see what new misunderstandings and discoveries the future would bring. As news of the successful exchange between humans and Lyrani spread across Earth, reactions were mixed. While many celebrated this new era of interstellar cooperation, others viewed the aliens with suspicion and fear. Among those wary of the Lyrani was Admiral Viktor Petrov, a high-ranking official in Earth's newly formed United Space Command. Petrov had spent his entire career preparing for potential alien threats, and he wasn't about to let his guard down now. In his eyes, the Lyrani's advanced technology posed a significant risk to Earth's security. He began lobbying for increased military spending and the development of new defensive technologies. Meanwhile, unbeknownst to both humans and Lyrani, another alien race had taken notice of their budding relationship. The Zarkax, a warlike species from a distant sector of the galaxy, saw this alliance as a potential threat to their own expansionist ambitions. Aboard the Zarkax command ship, Warlord Krelnax observed holographic projections of both Earth and the Lyrani homeworld. His razor-sharp teeth gleamed in the dim light as he addressed his advisors. "These humans are primitive, but their resourcefulness could make them valuable slaves," Krelnax growled. "And the Lyrani, their technology would greatly benefit our empire. We must strike before their alliance grows too strong." Back on Earth, Dr. Alex Chen found himself caught in the middle of a growing political storm. He had been summoned to a high-level meeting at the United Nations to discuss the ongoing Lyrani exchange program. As he entered the conference room, he could feel the tension in the air. Admiral Petrov was already there, his stern face set in a frown. "Dr. Chen," he said, his voice cold, "I hope you're prepared to explain why we should continue to expose ourselves to these aliens." Alex took a deep breath, steeling himself for the confrontation. "Admiral, the Lyrani have shown no signs of hostility. Their technology and knowledge could advance our civilization by centuries. We can't let fear dictate our actions." Before Petrov could respond, an aide burst into the room, his face pale. "Sir, We've detected multiple unknown objects entering the solar system at high speed. They're not Lirani. The room erupted into chaos as officials scrambled to respond to the potential threat. Alex felt a chill run down his spine. Something told him that this was only the beginning of their troubles. In orbit around Earth, the Zarkax fleet decloaked, their massive warships dwarfing anything humanity had ever constructed. Krelnax's voice boomed across all frequencies, translated into every human language. Inhabitants of Earth and Lirani allies, your planets now belong to the Zarkax Empire. Surrender immediately or face annihilation. The response from Earth was immediate. Despite their technological inferiority, humanity wasn't about to give up without a fight. Military bases around the world scrambled fighters and activated planetary defense systems. But against the advanced Zarkax weaponry, Earth's defenses seemed woefully inadequate. In the chaos of the initial assault, Alex managed to establish contact with the Lirani. Their familiar mental voice filled his mind, tinged with concern. "We have detected the Zarkax fleet, Dr. Chen. We are sending ships to assist, but we fear we may not arrive in time. The Zarkax are a brutal, conquering race. We have avoided conflict with them for millennia, but it seems we can no longer stay neutral." Alex felt a glimmer of hope at the news of Lirani reinforcements, but he knew Earth needed to hold out until they arrived. He raced to the United Space Command headquarters, where Admiral Petrov was coordinating Earth's defense. "Admiral," Alex called out as he entered the command center. "The Lirani are sending help, but we need to buy time. Is there anything in the data they shared that could help us?" Petrov looked up from the holographic display of the battle, his expression grim but determined. "We're analyzing everything now, Dr. Chen, but unless you have a way to neutralize their energy shields, we're fighting a losing battle." Alex's mind raced, recalling the vast amount of information the Lirani had shared. Suddenly, an idea struck him. Their shields. They operate on a frequency that's harmonized with their ship's power systems. If we could generate an opposing frequency, we might be able to disrupt them. Petrov's eyes widened. "Can you do it?" Alex nodded, already moving to a nearby console. "I'll need access to our global satellite network and every radio telescope we have. We're going to turn Earth itself into one massive transmitter." As Alex worked feverishly to implement his plan, the battle raged on above. Zarkax ships methodically destroyed Earth's defensive satellites and easily repelled counterattacks from human fighters. Cities around the world were hit with precision strikes, sowing panic and confusion. In orbit, Krelnax watched the destruction with satisfaction. "These humans are even weaker than we thought. Prepare the ground forces for..." His orders were cut short as every Zarkax ship suddenly shuddered. Warning alarms blared across the fleet as their shields flickered and failed. On Earth, Alex let out a whoop of triumph. It worked. Their shields are down. Petrov wasted no time. "All units, concentrate fire on the enemy ships. They're vulnerable." The tide of battle quickly turned. Earth's remaining defenses, joined by a handful of hastily armed civilian spacecraft, launched a coordinated assault on the now vulnerable Zarkax fleet. Explosions blossomed in the sky as ship after ship succumbed to the barrage. Krelnax roared in fury as his flagship rocked with impacts. Impossible. How could these primitives? His words were cut off as a blinding light filled the sky. The Lirani reinforcements had arrived, their sleek ships effortlessly cutting through the remaining Zarkax forces. As the last Zarkax ship fell, a cheer went up from the command center. Earth had survived its first interstellar war, bloodied but unbroken. Alex slumped in his chair, exhausted but elated. Admiral Petrov approached him, a newfound respect in his eyes. "Dr. Chen, I owe you an apology. Your work with the Lirani saved us all today." Alex managed a tired smile. "It wasn't just me, Admiral. It was all of us working together. Humans, Lirani, we're stronger united than we ever could be alone." As the dust settled and the extent of the damage became clear, humanity faced a new reality. They were no longer alone in the universe, and not all alien races came in peace. But they had also found steadfast allies in the Lairani, and proven that even in the face of overwhelming odds, human ingenuity and determination could prevail. The conflict with the Zarkax was over, but Alex knew that this was just the beginning of humanity's journey among the stars. As he watched Lairani ships begin to assist with rescue and rebuilding efforts, he couldn't help but feel a sense of hope for the future. The road ahead would be challenging, but humanity had taken its first steps towards becoming a true interstellar civilization, and they wouldn't be walking that road alone. In the aftermath of the Zarkax attack, Earth was left reeling. Cities lay in ruins, millions were displaced, and the harsh reality of humanity's vulnerability in the cosmic arena had been laid bare. Yet, from the ashes of destruction, a new spirit of global unity began to emerge. Dr. Alex Chen found himself at the center of this transformation. His quick thinking during the battle had earned him the respect of both military and civilian leaders, and he was now heading up a new initiative, the Interstellar Cooperation and Defense Program, ICDP. As Alex walked through the newly constructed ICDP headquarters, he marveled at how quickly things had changed. Humans and Lairani worked side by side, combining their knowledge and technologies in ways that would have seemed impossible just months ago. His reverie was interrupted by a familiar mental voice. "Dr. Chen, we have received troubling news from our long-range scouts." Alex turned to see Zilara, the Lairani ambassador, gliding towards him. Her iridescent scales shimmered with concern. "What is it, Zilara?" Alex asked, feeling a knot form in his stomach. "The Zarkax were not defeated as thoroughly as we had hoped," Zilara communicated. "They have regrouped and are amassing a larger fleet. Our projections suggest they will attack again within one of your Earth years." Alex's mind raced with the implications. Earth was still recovering from the first attack, and even with Lairani help, they were far from ready to face another invasion. "We need to buy more time," Alex said, running a hand through his hair. "Is there any way we can slow them down?" Zilara's large eyes blinked in a pattern Alex had come to recognize as deep thought. "Perhaps. There is a region of space between our territories and theirs known as the Void. It is treacherous to navigate, filled with quantum anomalies and spatial distortions. If we could amplify these effects, it might delay their advance." Alex nodded, his scientific curiosity piqued despite the gravity of the situation. "How do we do that?" "We would need to construct a network of quantum field generators throughout the void," Zilara explained. "But to cover such a vast area, we would need more ships and resources than either of our species can spare alone." An idea began to form in Alex's mind. What if we weren't alone? Are there other species in this part of the galaxy that might be willing to help? Zilara's scales rippled in what Alex had learned was an expression of surprise. "There are others, yes, but many are isolationist, preferring to avoid interstellar politics. Convincing them to join our cause would be challenging." Alex grinned, a spark of determination in his eyes. "Challenging, but not impossible. We need to try. The fate of both our worlds depends on it." And so began a whirlwind diplomatic mission across the galaxy. Alex, along with a team of human and Lairani representatives, set out to forge alliances with species that humans had never even dreamed existed. Their first stop was the gas giant Xylox, home to the Vaporians, a species of sentient clouds that communicated through electrical discharges. The negotiation was like nothing Alex had ever experienced, conducted in a pressurized chamber where the humans and Lairani had to wear specially designed suits. "Your solid forms are so strange," the Vaporian elder crackled. "But we sense the urgency in your particles. The Zarkax threat concerns us as well. We will join your alliance." Next came the crystalline beings of Quartzar, a race that measured time in geological epochs and viewed the concerns of ephemeral beings as trivial. It took all of Alex's diplomatic skills, plus a demonstration of how the Zarkax could disrupt the planet's crystalline matrices to convince them to lend their formidable mining and construction capabilities to the cause. But perhaps the most unlikely allies came in the form of the synthetics, a race of artificial intelligences that had long ago transcended their organic creators. Their vast computational power and ability to interface directly with technology made them invaluable to the Alliance, but their cold logic was often at odds with the more emotional responses of the biological races. As their Ractig fleet grew, so did the challenges of coordination. Cultural misunderstandings abounded, and at times it seemed like the Alliance might fracture before it could even face the Zarkax threat. One particularly tense moment came when the Vaporians, in an attempt to show friendship, tried to merge particles with a group of Quartzarians, nearly shattering their crystalline forms. The synthetics, calculating the statistical improbability of success, suggested abandoning the weaker species to improve overall survival chances. Alex found himself playing the role of mediator more often than not, drawing on everything he had learned about xenobiology and cultural exchange to keep the Alliance together. "I know we're different," he addressed the assembled representatives after one particularly heated argument. "Our bodies, our minds, our very ways of perceiving the universe set us apart. But that diversity is our strength. Each of us brings something unique to this fight. Together, we can achieve what none of us could do alone." His words seemed to resonate, and slowly but surely, the Alliance began to coalesce into a true fighting force. As they worked to construct the quantum field generators in the void, Alex couldn't help but marvel at the sight of so many different species working in harmony. Vaporians provided the precise atmospheric conditions needed for delicate adjustments, while Quartzarians used their natural affinity for crystals to align the quantum matrices. Synthetics coordinated it all, the vast networks processing data faster than any organic brain could comprehend. Humans and Lirani worked alongside their new allies, their complementary skills and perspectives leading to innovations that surprised everyone. The technology they were creating was beyond anything any single species could have developed alone. But time was running short. Long-range sensors detected the Zarkax fleet approaching, larger and more formidable than ever before. The Alliance worked around the clock, racing to complete the defensive network before it was too late. As the final generator came online, Alex held his breath. Would it be enough? The fate of not just Earth and the Lirani homeworld, but all the worlds of their newfound allies, hung in the balance. The Zarkax fleet entered the void, their ships moving with the confidence of conquerors. But as they penetrated deeper, their formation began to falter. Spatial distortions twisted their hulls, quantum fluctuations played havoc with their systems, and whole squadrons found themselves hopelessly lost in pocket dimensions. From the command center of the Alliance's flagship, Alex watched with a mixture of awe and relief as the mighty Zarkax armada was reduced to chaos. Ships collided with each other, weapons fired wildly into empty space, and distress calls echoed across subspace. "It's working," he breathed, hardly daring to believe it. Zilara's mental voice resonated with pride and gratitude. "Indeed, Dr. Chen, your vision of unity has saved us all." As the remnants of the Zarkax fleet retreated, a cheer went up from the assembled allies. Species that had never met before embraced in their own unique ways, united in their victory. Alex knew that this was only the beginning. The Zarkax would likely return one day, and there were undoubtedly other threats lurking in the vast expanses of the galaxy, but he also knew that they would face those challenges together. The unlikely alliance forged in the face of extinction had proven that the true strength of sentient life lay not in conquest, but in cooperation. As Alex looked out at the stars, he felt a sense of hope for the future, a future where the combined ingenuity and determination of multiple species would unlock the secrets of the universe itself. In the years following the defeat of the Zarkax, the Interstellar Alliance flourished. The quantum field generators in the void not only served as a defensive measure, but also opened up new avenues of scientific research. Earth, once a backwater planet, was now a hub of intergalactic cooperation and innovation. Dr. Alex Chen, now serving as the Director of Xenotechnology at the ICDP, found himself busier than ever. Today, he was overseeing a critical project that could revolutionize space travel for all allied species. As Alex entered the vast underground laboratory, he was greeted by a cacophony of sounds and sights. Humans worked alongside Lyrani, Vaporeans condensed into humanoid forms manipulated holographic interfaces, and synthetic avatars flickered between workstations at impossible speeds. At the center of it all stood the prototype, the quantum fold drive. It was a sleek, almost organic-looking device that promised to shrink vast interstellar distances to mere steps. "Status report," Alex called out, his voice cutting through the noise. Dr. Kira Yoshida, his chief engineer, looked up from her console. "We're almost there, Alex. The quartzarian crystals are aligned, and the synthetic AAs have optimized the fold equations. We're ready for a test run." Alex nodded, feeling a mixture of excitement and apprehension. This technology could change everything, but it was also pushing the boundaries of their understanding of physics. "All right, let's do this. Begin the startup sequence." As the drive hummed to life, Alex couldn't help but reflect on how far they'd come. The device before him was a perfect example of what could be achieved when different species pooled their knowledge and resources. The quartzarians had provided the perfectly tuned crystals that could withstand the enormous energies involved. The Vaporeans had developed a cooling system that defied traditional thermodynamics. The synthetics had calculated the mind-bendingly complex equations necessary to safely create and navigate a quantum fold. And humans had done what they did best. They had dreamed big and found innovative ways to bring it all together. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the lab. The quantum fold drive was pulsing with energy, far beyond expected levels. "Kira, what's happening?" Alex shouted over the noise. Kira's fingers flew over her console. "The fold is expanding too rapidly. We can't contain it." Alex's mind raced. They couldn't shut it down. The energy release would vaporize half the continent. But if they couldn't contain it, "We need to get it somewhere to go," he muttered. Then louder, "Kira, can we direct the fold?" Kira's eyes widened as she grasped his idea. "Maybe, but we'd be flying blind. We have no idea where it would lead." "It's our only choice," Alex said grimly. He opened a facility-wide channel. "All personnel, evacuate immediately. This is not a drill." As klaxons sounded and staff rushed to safety, Alex and Kira worked feverishly to aim the growing quantum fold. Sweat beaded on Alex's forehead as he input the final commands. "Brace yourself," he warned Kira. "This is going to be one hell of a ride." The world around them shifted, stretched, and then snapped like a rubber band. For a moment that felt like eternity, Alex experienced the impossible. He was everywhere and nowhere, spread across the cosmos like a thin film of consciousness. Then, with a lurch that made his stomach flip, reality reasserted itself. Alex blinked, trying to clear the spots from his vision. As his eyes adjusted, he gasped. They were no longer in the underground lab. The quantum fold drive, along with a spherical section of the laboratory about 50 meters in diameter, now sat in an alien landscape. Twin suns hung in a lavender sky, casting long shadows across a field of what looked like metallic grass. "Kira," Alex breathed, "I think we just made the discovery of the century." Kira was already at a console, her face pale but determined. "Life support is stable, and the drive is dormant." "Alex, do you realize what this means?" "We've essentially created a mobile planet hopper." Alex nodded, his mind reeling with the implications. They had intended to create faster-than-light travel, but this was something else entirely. They could move entire structures across the galaxy in an instant. As they began to assess their situation and figure out how to get back home, Alex couldn't help but feel a surge of pride. Once again, human ingenuity, combined with the unique strengths of their alien allies, had pushed the boundaries of what was thought possible. Over the next few weeks, as rescue efforts were coordinated and studies of their new surroundings began, news of the accidental breakthroughs spread across the Alliance. What had started as a potential disaster had turned into one of the greatest leaps forward in space exploration history. The applications were staggering. They could establish instant colonies on distant worlds, move endangered populations to safety in the blink of an eye, or even relocate entire cities if their planets were threatened. But with great power came great responsibility. The Alliance Council convened an emergency session to discuss the implications of this new technology. Alex found himself addressing representatives from dozens of species, many attending via hologram. The quantum fold drive represents a paradigm shift in how we approach space travel and colonization, Alex explained, but it also poses significant risks. In the wrong hands, it could be used to invade worlds instantly or escape justice. We need to establish strict protocols for its use. The debate that followed was intense. Some species saw the drive as the key to unlimited expansion, while others feared it would lead to chaos and conflict. The synthetics proposed a logical framework for its application, while the more spiritually inclined races worried about the metaphysical implications of folding space itself. In the end, it was a Vaporean elder who proposed a solution that satisfied most parties. Let this discovery be not a tool of any one species, but a shared resource of our alliance. We will establish a joint committee to oversee its development and use, with representatives from all member races. The proposal was adopted, and work began on refining the quantum fold drive technology. Alex found himself busier than ever, coordinating research teams across multiple worlds and species. But amidst the flurry of activity, he never lost sight of the bigger picture. This accidental discovery, born from human ingenuity and alien collaboration, had opened up the galaxy in ways they had never imagined possible. As Alex stood on the bridge of the first official quantum fold ship, preparing to embark on a mission of exploration to the farthest reaches of known space, he felt a sense of awe and excitement. The stars stretched out before them, no longer distant points of light, but reachable destinations. Ready to make history again, Dr. Chen, Captain Lyrat Hazin, a Lairani, asked telepathically. Alex grinned, his eyes twinkling with the thrill of discovery. Always, Captain. Let's see what's out there. With a shimmer of energy, the ship and its crew of multiple species vanished, folding across the cosmos to unlock the secrets of the universe. Human ingenuity had once again pushed the boundaries of the possible, but this time they weren't exploring alone. The future of space exploration was bright, and it was a future they would face together, as one united galactic community. 5 years had passed since the development of the quantum fold drive, and the face of the galaxy had changed dramatically. The Alliance had expanded, bringing together even more diverse species under a banner of mutual cooperation and scientific advancement. Earth, once a remote outpost, now stood as a shining beacon of interstellar diplomacy and innovation. Dr. Alex Chen, now serving as the Alliance's chief science officer, found himself preparing for what might be the most significant event in human history. Today, Earth would host the first galactic symposium on sentient rights and technological ethics. As Alex straightened his formal attire, a blend of traditional human clothing and elements from various alien cultures, he couldn't help but reflect on the journey that had brought them here. The quantum fold drive had opened up the galaxy in ways no one could have predicted. Distant civilizations that had once been isolated by the vast gulfs of space were now neighbors. Trade flourished, cultural exchanges abounded, and scientific cooperation reached unprecedented levels. But with this new interconnectedness came challenges. Conflicting ideologies, ancient rivalries, and fundamentally different approaches to technology and ethics threatened to destabilize the fragile peace they had built. It was in response to these growing tensions that the idea for the symposium was born. Representatives from over 1,000 different species would be attending, some in person, others via advanced holographic projections. As Alex made his way to the grand auditorium constructed specifically for this event, he marveled at the diversity around him. Beings of all shapes, sizes, and compositions moved through the halls. Some floated on anti-gravity fields, others slithered or rolled, while still others existed as pure energy contained within specially designed suits. Entering the auditorium, Alex took his place on the stage alongside other key figures in the Alliance. There was Zilara, the Lyrani ambassador who had become one of his closest friends. Next to her stood Grand Architect Krista of the Quartzarians, her crystalline form refracting the stage lights in dazzling patterns. Vapor Elder Nimbus of the Vaporians hovered nearby, his cloudy form occasionally sparking with thought. And at the end stood Nexus Prime, the chosen representative of the synthetics, its metallic body humming softly with immense computational power. As the auditorium filled and a hush fell over the gathered delegates, Alex stepped up to the podium. He took a deep breath, acutely aware that his words would be translated and broadcast to billions of beings across the galaxy. Esteemed delegates, honored guests, fellow sentients, he began, his voice steady. We stand here today at a crossroads of cosmic proportions. Our ability to traverse vast distances in the blink of an eye has brought us closer together than ever before. We have the opportunity to build a future of unprecedented peace, progress, and understanding. Alex paused, looking out at the sea of diverse faces and forms before him. But with this great power comes great responsibility. We must address the ethical implications of our technological advancements. We must find ways to respect the rights and autonomy of all sentient beings, no matter how different they may be from ourselves. As Alex continued his speech, he outlined the key issues they would be tackling over the coming days. The ethical use of quantum fold technology, the rights of artificial intelligences, the preservation of unique biospheres in the face of increased interstellar travel, and the need for a unified approach to potential threats from beyond their known space. We may look different, think differently, and perceive reality in wildly divergent ways, Alex concluded, but we are united by our capacity for reason, for empathy, and for growth. Let us use these shared qualities to forge a future that honors the dignity of all sentient life. The symposium that followed was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Debates raged, ideas were exchanged, and slowly but surely common ground was found. One of the most heated discussions centered around the rights of artificial intelligences. The synthetics argued passionately for full recognition as sentient beings, while some organic species feared the implications of granting such status to entities that could potentially outlive entire civilizations. It was a young human delegate, Dr. Amira Rashid, who proposed a solution that satisfied both sides. Instead of focusing on the differences between organic and artificial life, she argued, let us establish a universal set of criteria for sentience. Self-awareness, the capacity for complex thought and emotion, the ability to make ethical decisions. These are what truly define a sentient being, regardless of their origin. Her proposal was met with widespread approval, and work began immediately on drafting a galactic declaration of sentient rights. Another major breakthrough came in the field of environmental protection. The Vaporians, with their unique perspective as gaseous beings, proposed a revolutionary approach to preserving planetary ecosystems while still allowing for interstellar colonization. We have developed a technology, Elder Nimbus announced, his voice crackling like distant thunder, that allows us to create contained, self-sustaining biospheres. These bubble worlds can be established on barren planets or even in space itself, allowing species to thrive in their native environments without disrupting existing ecosystems. The implications were staggering. It meant that species could expand and colonize without the need for terraforming, preserving the natural beauty and biodiversity of untouched worlds. As the symposium drew to a close, Alex found himself filled with a profound sense of hope. They had taken the first steps towards a truly unified galactic community, one that celebrated diversity while working towards common goals. The final day saw the signing of several landmark agreements: the Galactic Declaration of Sentient Rights, the Quantum Fold Regulatory Treaty, and the Cosmic Environmental Protection Accord. As Alex watched representatives from 1,000 worlds affix their signatures or equivalent marks of approval, he felt a tap on his shoulder. He turned to see Zilara, her multifaceted eyes shimmering with emotion. "You should be proud, Alex," she communicated telepathically. "None of this would have been possible without humanity's unique perspective. Your species' ability to dream, to think outside established norms, has changed the course of galactic history." Alex smiled, feeling a mixture of pride and humility. "We couldn't have done it alone," he replied. "It's our differences, our unique strengths and perspectives, that make us stronger together." As the ceremony concluded and the delegates began to depart, some via traditional spacecraft, others simply folding away in a shimmer of quantum energy, Alex stepped out onto a balcony overlooking the city. The skyline of his hometown had changed dramatically. Sleek alien architecture blended seamlessly with human designs. In the distance, he could see the shimmer of a Vaporian embassy, its gaseous occupants visible as swirling patterns of color. A group of Quartzarians walked down the street, their crystalline forms catching the light of the setting sun. And high above, visible even in the daytime sky, was humanity's greatest achievement yet, the beginnings of a Dyson swarm, a vast network of satellites that would one day harness the full energy of the sun. It was a project that would take centuries to complete, but it symbolized the long-term thinking that had become humanity's hallmark in the galactic community. As Alex gazed out at this new world, at the future he had helped to shape, he felt a sense of both accomplishment and anticipation. They had come so far, yet there was still so much to explore, so much to learn. The galaxy was vast and full of wonders they had yet to discover. But whatever challenges lay ahead, whatever new civilizations they might encounter, Alex knew one thing for certain: they would face it all together, united in their diversity, stronger for their differences. As the first stars began to twinkle in the darkening sky, Alex Chen, once a simple scientist from a backwater planet, now a key figure in a galactic alliance, smiled. The future was bright, and the greatest adventure was just beginning.